subscribe to the Donnie Houston podcast, man.
Yeah, man. It was an honor to serve the city.
Yeah, that'll live with me for forever. But did you grow up like that, like as a radio kid, like wanting to get into that? Like, how did you even get into that direction?
I do have one little tape when during the Parliament Funkadelic years when I made a radio station called We Funk. But I didn't really I don't think I really thought that I was going to be. I was like you, I love music. So I thought I was going to end up in New York being some producer behind the scene, never in front of anything. And I thought that was going to be my life. I literally fell into radio, not by accident, but when we was coming up, and it's like these kids today, the radio stations playing songs that we ain't playing in the neighborhood. And I really come, I'm way before you. So I'm in the era when rap is first coming out. The radio station didn't play. Back in the day, they had the rap side, and then on the flip, it was the instrumental. So they would play the instrumental beats on the radio, but they wouldn't play the rap. I'm like, this is dumb. They say, Dougie Fresh just said something real dope.
And this is in North Carolina when you were?
This is North Carolina where I'm from, bro. I'm from a small place called Fayetteville, right outside of Fort Bragg. Was a military.
I think we all know about Fayetteville now because of J. Cole.
Because J. Cole. Yeah, we got a few notables out of there. The other kid, oh man, I can't. Moray, he from there, yeah. So we got a couple out there. We got a couple. We'll accept Petey Pablo too. We're gonna take Petey Pablo too, but yeah, we got a couple of cats out there. But it was just different, man. They would play the instrumentals, and I just wanted to understand why y'all playing the instrumentals. So by the time I get to college, that's the first thing I do. I go to the college radio station, and I got a million questions.
Are you majoring in communications?
I did. I majored in communications with a minor in business, where I should have majored in business because everything I learned for radio, I kind of like, this is no disrespect on communication or broadcast or whatever it may be called now, but everything I learned was hands-on. I learned it from working in the environment. Which I think a lot of jobs are like that, but that's a whole nother story. We won't get into it. But the lady, I think I was asking so many questions. I think she was moved. She said, you want to work on the air? Because the questions I was asking, and I'm like, And then back in the days, I think people thought something was wrong with my head. I used to always wear these Run DMC hats. Mm-hmm. And she said, you should call yourself the Madd Hatta. And I thought that was stupid. I kind of sort of still do to this day, but after you start making a name for yourself, there ain't no turnarounds. And she said, yeah, you should call yourself the Madd Hatta. If you call yourself the Madd Hatta, I think I can find a slot for you on the air. I said, really? Yeah. I said, I guess I'm going to be the Madd Hatta then. Then I thought, my real name is Benny. I thought all my friends called me Chill, so I figured that I was going to slip that in later on, but it never happened. My career, everything went kind of really, really, really quick. And I guess it was because I was really inquisitive. I asked a lot of questions, and I'm one of those kind of people. Once I do this, that narrow focus, I just go all in, and I think my career just went real fast after that. The college years was really shaky at first, but after the second year, 2.5 years in, everything started to pick up. So. And shout out to Yvonne Anderson, who gave me the name Madd Hatta. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here either. It's a couple of key people. If it wasn't for them, I would have never had this career. And she most certainly is the first person that thought that there was some talent there or something. So,
So how do you end up coming to the H?
Another person by the name of Rick Party, my favorite disc jockey of all time, who, like you, never spoke to him. I spoke to him maybe 3 or 4 times in my entire career, but he's still the ultimate jock to this day. And I was a young jock and wrote a fan letter, especially as a black man with pride. We don't do those kind of things where we give props to somebody. And I broke down like, I'm gonna just write this dude a letter, man, ask him to listen to my air check and tell me if I'm talented or not, and whatever he says, because I was looking for somebody to tell me something. You whack, you this, you that. And he really responded. He wrote back in a little letter, hey man, do whatever you do, but always stay humble. And I still got that to this day, and I've always made sure that I was humble. That was the most important thing to me. And he said, send your tape to Ernie Jackson, R.I.P. Ernie passed away a year or so ago, and send it to the general manager, which is totally out of protocol. Radio station, you send it to the program director. I sent it to the general manager, and I was a crazy kid, man. I had a back in those days when social media wasn't big, I had like a videotape on VHS of me in the studio doing all kind of stuff that I edited. I did my resume like a newspaper, and then I sent a bag of Doritos and $1, which I knew was gonna get their attention because if you know radio, they see money. Jocks, they because it's illegal. So I know if they seen their money, they're gonna act a little funny. But I say, here's $1 so you can, watch my video, take a lunch break, and listen to my air check. And I got to Houston, man. And I really didn't even plan on being in radio that long, to be honest with you. I thought I was gonna do this for like maybe 4 years. I was gonna make as much money as I could, try to get all the way up to New York, and then I was gonna go back to North Carolina and be a teacher. That was my initial plan. So all this other stuff that happened was not necessarily the part of the plan, but as you learn to love a place where you at, other interests and loves start to show themselves. And I think there's a high power that says you can still teach in what you're doing, but you're going to do it in a different way. So I received that message, and I just kept going forward. So.
And you were rapping already too.
Yeah, come on, man. When we growing up, everybody beat on the desk and everybody was rhyming. And I wasn't the number one rapping in the school, but I was a top 7.
Yeah. Was that an aspiration? Like at the time?
I was, man. The truth of the matter is, man, I was really, as much as I grew up on hip hop, there was really an R&B dance side of me, man. Like by the time I got to college, I was really into house music, to be honest with you. I was really into go-go. I was really into hip hop. I mean, I was really serious about my music. I thought, like I said, I was going to end up being a music producer, even in college. I still don't know how I did it to this day. I released a jazz album with a lady by the name of Madd Houston. She was like 50, 60 years old at the time. I'm some young kid, 18, 19. I still don't know where I got the money to do this. I still don't know to this day. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I made this little album with her, and it was Madd Houston live. I did a live recording at a club. I mean, it's incredible to this day. I don't know how I did it. I found an executive producer, not executive producer, but a producer, brother by the name of AB, R.I.P. to him. He was he worked at the radio station, but he was a jazz aficionado. So I'm like, hey, I want you to produce this album with this lady. He already had a relationship with her. They produced the album, put it together. I just came back and tightened it up. I don't know how I ever figured out any of this stuff. I read a lot, though. Like, even when I was young, I used to read these books about the music industry. So I don't know why a kid in 8th grade is reading books about the music industry. And I would read about contracts and understand contracts and points.
Just naturally just gravitating to this stuff.
I don't know why to this day. So it's funny, even being in the business that we're in the broadcast, and I would see their contracts, and I knew where all the effery was in the contracts.
You can curse too, it's cool. Unless you.
Yeah. I seen the show. But yeah, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah, okay. So when you come, what year do you make it to the H?
The end of '92, going into '93. They brought me in, I think, in '92. I went on air and did a couple of things, and then by '93, I was here.
And so you get here, like, what's going on musically? Of course, Ghetto Boys, they starting to,
You know what, really, this is the truth, man. I love the Ghetto Boys. Here's the funny thing about the Ghetto Boys. Where I was from, we didn't really flip it over initially. We just loved that sample. Dun, 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 dun,
That's
dun.
the case.
So we rocked the beat for a long time. And then somebody at the little college radio station finally flipped it over, and we listened to the words. I'm like, oh, that's dope. So, but my brain at that time, is Houston or anything like that. I just know that these guys sound different. I'm East Coast, so my whole life is East Coast. So I just know that they sound different, but I love the storytelling on it. And then I get a UGK cassette, Tell Me Something Good. And that changes everything. I'm still not thinking Houston. I just know whatever these guys are doing musically, they are on it. And it's UGK, man. I literally popped that tape, playing it so much. Tell Me Something Good you couldn't tell me anything about that group. So it's funny that I gravitated so hard to that group, and then, a couple of months later, you get a job working in that city. And I'll be honest with you, when our idea, when you say Houston, Texas to me initially, I am thinking cowboy boots and the horses, and then I get here and it's the tight white era. I don't know if you remember that. White on white, the tight. Whoo, man, that was a wild era right there, boy. That was a very dangerous era. And so I get here and I'm like, oh, they gangster here. They ain't this is not make, but this ain't. I'm thinking that these some country dudes. They country all right, but these country dudes will hurt you. So
what's some of your first wake up calls? Are like, okay, wait, nah, this a little.
Just the attitude. I don't know if there was like a particular moment. The dress, like I said, I came in the tight white era, so
you know, coming out clean.
Yeah, everything white on white. The crease right here. It was a different vibe for sure. It was a different vibe. Nothing like scary or anything like that, but you know, I knew that this was a city where they would get down if not the right thing is happening or occurring as well. So, you know, it definitely could be a dangerous city at the time. A lot of bad stuff was happening. You know, I'm coming off, you know, the Stop the Violence movement and all that stuff. We coming off the heels of that when I arrive here. So you don't even know it's that bad, you know, until you get here like, oh, okay, they ain't playing. But as I think back on it, the city still was kind of embracing at the point. I know this is fresh from a radio station perspective. This is off after Streets. I don't know if you remember Greg Street, and then the Jimmy Olsens. They had a strong foothold here. But also when I arrived here, it's the Captain Jacks and Big Steve's. That to me was a very exciting era to see Captain Jack in the club. And I don't know if you might be too young, so you probably didn't get a chance to hear Captain Jack singing I'm gonna lay some pipe tonight in the middle of the club. I'm gonna lay some pipe. And they got the little, I forgot what the little freestyle record that they used to, I can't remember the beat. And I know you'll know what it is if I said it right now, but my brain is freezing. I can't think of it. But Captain Jack used to sing on top of that song. And just seeing that, man, it was a unique time in Houston history, man. I got there right at the tail end of it, and I got a chance to see some of to me, it was very, very exciting. But we went from one exciting period immediately into another one. So as soon as I get here, we're starting to get into the DJ Screw era when I get here. This is ESG. In fact, because ESG, you know, I think back in that time, the DJs could play whatever they want to play, and by the time I get there, they got like a little list of records you can play. You know, it's all programmed, and a lot of people don't know that. They think the DJ just playing what they want. And I remember this because it's funny now. It probably wasn't funny. It wasn't funny then, but I remember E was upset because he thought that I didn't like him, so I wasn't playing his record. And then, God bless his soul, love this guy. I don't know if you remember Lonnie Mack.
I know you're talking
Lonnie
about.
Mack was a huge part of this music scene, would rap a lot and just part
On
of
the
this
Wheels
music
of Steel
scene.
is my homie Lonnie Mack.
Yeah, Scarface talking about him in the song. And he called me on the hotline, Hatta, because I don't know what, sometimes you just connect with people. You don't know why or what level, but you really do connect, man. And he called me on the hotline, hey, man, ESG think you got a problem with him. I said, who? ESG. I said, I said, you talking about, so I'm thinking of ESG with the break beats from I forgot, it's on the, I got the big beat, and then they would sample this guitar thing on it, and the name of the group was ESG. So I'm thinking that, I know him for the break beats, but I don't know. So I ain't even connecting this as a human, one person, you know. You're like, I need you to come to the club tonight so we can meet him and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, I guess. So that was my first confrontation in the city that, you know, you got to go through all the rappers and fight.
Is that the first rapper that you met like that? Like,
well, confrontation, absolutely. But it was cool after that.
No, just in general. Just in general, just establishing relationships.
I want to say so. I probably, when you first come to the city, the first person you're going to meet is Rap-A-Lot and Little J. Jay Prince now. That's going to be your first introduction to the city, so you know how it's supposed to go down. But Jay was always cool. There was never no animosity or you going to do this or else. But I've seen things, so I know actually what could happen. You know, I got a bird's eye view to see some very special things in this city. that I'll never mention, but I saw some special things in his city. And that was a part of the tight white era too, watching, the dynasty of Rap-A-Lot and all the rappers on there, because it was just wild.
You got Big Mike over there, Convicts, Big Mello, like they
I'm telling you, it was a wild time in this city, and some people documented it very well. Like you said, Gangsta Nip and Convicts. I came right. I got dropped in it. Like somebody came and dropped me in the middle of it, and nobody told me the rules. For real, there was rules, and nobody told me the rules, and I had to learn. I had to learn it on the fly. But I wouldn't take back any of those memories. Like I said, it was some sticky moments. When you look back, being in the club with certain individuals, or just anything. I've seen some wild stuff, man. I've seen some people get hurt, and I've seen a lot of things, man. But I wouldn't take.
Because that's that era. I mean, everybody didn't have a camera on their phone and that, so you can go down. And, you know what I'm saying?
If there was cameras at this time, a lot of these people's stories would be different. If there was cameras at the time, not probably. It's a good thing that there wasn't no cameras at the time. Like I said, there was I seen some wild stuff, some injuries, and not saying Rap-A-Lot either. I just saw some wild stuff, man. I remember there was a club, I think it was Chocolate Town. Oh my God, yeah. I seen some wild stuff in Chocolate Town. Chocolate Town could be like the Butt Naked one minute, and the next minute it could be like the OK Corral. It could be all the way there, but still good memories, man. It was still good memories, man. Jam City. And all that good stuff.
Yeah. Who was some of the first crew you were working with? Like, was Blaster over there at 102 and all that?
At the radio station, when I first got there, it would have been DJ Aggravated. It would have been Def Jam Blaster. It would have been, and I'm probably mixing some of this stuff up because I was there for 2 years, and then they merged, Clear, which is now called iHeart. They were Clear Channel then, and then they merged with the company that I was working with, and so they forced everybody kind of like to work together. So some of this stuff is like crossover. B Swift, R.I.P. to him, he was there. Another brother, Reggie Reg, I think was his name. There was 2 Regis, by the way, too. There was one Reg that mixed. Marcus Love. Like I said, I'm probably mixing some of this stuff up. These are probably cats that were in the club and also on the radio station.
Is Mean Green over there at that time?
Mean Green is certainly there. Mean Green at that point is probably, in my opinion, the most powerful jock that I had seen at that point. Because this is a guy who could have called anybody on death row and did and would. This is a guy that had connections to Master P. This is a guy that could call Little J on the phone. This was a deeply connected brother. So it was interesting to watch. And Green, you talking about me not following the rules. Green did exactly what he wanted to do. If he wanted to put somebody from Death Row on the air and have an interview and then play all Death Row, or Rap-A-Lot or whoever, he would do it. And he never suffered the consequences like most jocks would. And so that was amazing to watch that happen. Green was amazing to watch too, though. Shout out to Mr. Greenster.
Shout out Mean Green. I be talking to Mean Green, dude, man.
Good brother.
Hella stories, man. Like,
he does. You really want some stories. Green has them all because all these people he spoke to regularly. He could pick up the phone. He probably had conversations with Pac or Dr.
He told me
Dre.
managed Pac for a little while.
Yeah, so he talked to all these people, man. He talked to all these people. So he had great relationships. He was another well-connected brother, man. Yeah. Very well-connected.
Donnie Houston.